Thank you for coming to my Hobby Draw channel.
This is fun. Draw this Fleur de Lis in Autodesk Sketchbook. Learn how to use the program, learn how to do a little sketching, and just have fun to do something with your time and creativity.
I'm using the Autodesk Sketchbook to draw with. This is a free app that you can place on your phone. I'm also using my Samsung Note phone and the pen that comes with it. We can open up the app to get started.
Today we're going to draw a Fleur de Lis, and you'll be able to see how Autodesk Sketchbook works with drawing a simple drawing. First thing you'll need to do is go up to the menu and click New Sketch and choose your canvas size. You can customize your canvas size, and this tells you how many pixels you have on each one, and the center one right here that says 220, this one will have how many layers. Pick this pre-designed one already, and it's kind of just a canvas that is a rectangle. Okay, you'll see this little dot back here. If you click on this, it's going to give you a lot of tools, but one of the things it does is it brings up these corners, and this corner will put your canvas back to the size that it's originally. Also, you'll see over here, this is an undo, and if you make a mistake, you can undo it, and on this side you can redo, and this will clear your canvas. Here, my little puck, I guess. I can click on that and it gives me all of the colors, and so I'm going to click on the black at the bottom here, and then I have a black pen. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to change the size. So if you click on it and you move left, you get smaller, and if you click on it and go right, you get larger brushes. So I'm going to set mine for about 9. You're not going to get perfect, but just somewhere around 9. For our Fleur de Lis, the first thing I want to do is I want to make a triangle, and to do that, I'm going to use the perspective stroke, and setting it, the different numbers are how much it helps you to draw the lines. I'm going to draw a triangle. All right, that's good. The next thing I want to do is I want to get some straight lines. So I'm going to go over to this draw styles, and you can pick straight lines. So I'm going to pick a straight line, and it really gives you just an ant's outline, and then when you let go, your line will be there. It allows you to adjust before you pick it. Now I'm going to go down this way and make a straight line about here, and I want it just a little bit further out than I did my originals. And I'm going to redo that one. And then I'm going to make another triangularly looking bottom part. All right, now I'm going to click off of this, and one thing I want to do is I want to make sure all of these are connected to each other and there's no holes in them. So I'm going to, with my regular pen and my pen up here, I'm going to choose the technical pen because it makes just a straight line is what I like about it. And I'm clicking off of that, and I'm just going to make sure that these are all connected. So you can see as I come in here, I can just go ahead and get bigger or smaller, and this way I know everything is connected. Don't worry about anything on the inside being imperfect. As long as they're connected, that's really what we're looking for. There's my outline. All right, this is going to be my first outline here. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my screen back to normal. And I'm going to next go to layers. And I'm going to create a new layer here. And whatever I see on this layer that it's all outlined in blue, that means it's the active layer, and it will see through to the other layer below it. And what I really want to do is I want to fill this in. And for Fleur de Lis, let's get a purple. And a Fleur de Lis is a kind of a bluish purple. So we're going to check there. And then I'm going to bring my little square up here. And that's the color I'd like. Now I'm going to go to my tools, click on fill. And I want a solid fill. And I also want to click on this. This tells me how many layers it's going to fill through, and I want it to sample all of the layers below the page I have, and it's going to fill into those areas. So once I tap on that area, it fills it in with that color, and I'm going to tap into this area also. Say good. All right, now I'm going to go back to my layers, and I'm going to take off that outline because I really don't want the outline on my paper. So the only thing that's left now is I have this white spot on there, and if I go to my layer that I filled in, I'm going to just make that active. I am going to fill in this little area. So I come along here, I'm going to get the edges and just fill this in with color. Then I'm going to go back and reset this to the canvas. We're going to start on our next part. So I'm going to come and I want to make a new layer. This time I want to make a couple circles, and there's a couple ways to do it. You can go to your tools and you can go to the draw styles. You can choose a circle. Now the problem is where do you start and where do you end when you have a circle? So one of the ways that you could do this is to say that you want the middle of the circle right there. Okay, then go up to where you would like the edge of it to be and start drawing. Go through that center part and over. So it's not a real circle, it's an oval is what I want. And I guess I want a little bit fatter. All right, that's good. The other thing I wanted is actually I didn't want purple, I wanted green. So I can do that by choosing my color here. I want to go to green. I'm going to bring this around here, and I want it to be kind of a darkish green. Now what I'm going to do to get this circle to be green is I am going to go to my tools again, go to fill, and this time I just want to fill the one layer. So I'm going to take it off sample layers, and I just want it to fill in the color where I have it. So I'm going to go wide, and I'm going to touch right on that purple, and now I have a green outline. Now that I've turned this green, what I'd like to do is move it so that it's touching that part of the Fleur de Lis. As long as that layer is active, I can go to my transform to move it around, and once I in my transform, I can move my circle around, my oval around. I can also distort it if I want to by touching this one here, and it will choose it. And I can come out here and I can do some things here, maybe make this taller, lower, and you can kind of distort it whatever way you'd like. I think I'm going to go like right there is what I would like. Good, that's good. Now let's go to a new layer. I've got the new layer. I'm going to make a circle on top of that by perspective draw in my tools. And 4 is probably good, and I'm just going to make another circle in here and see how terrible I am. Okay, and actually that turned out to be a good position. I'm going to go to my transform again, and if I wanted to move it around just a little bit, I kind of want it a little bit closer to the bottom than the top, and I do want these two lines to touch right there. And then I'll say that's great. That's fine. So that's what I'd like to do. Now, the next thing I'd like to do is I want to make another layer. And I want to fill in that green. So I'm going to fill. This time I'm going to sample my layers, and I want to fill in this green area with green. Now, I want to actually get rid of part of this to erase part of it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to go back to the layers that I have on it, and I will choose an eraser right here, this transparent color, and it will erase, and I just want to erase it from here down. Now you see it didn't all go away. That's because we had two layers. The next layer is right here. And I can actually combine those two layers by clicking on here, and I get this menu right here, and I can drag down. This will just drag it down one layer. So now these two layers are together. So let's see if we can't erase it away. So I want my transparent color, and I want to erase right in here. I guess it would have been faster if I would have a bigger brush. Now you see that part of that purple is showing through there. Don't worry about that. You'll see later that that won't matter. Next, what I would like to do is go to my layers, and I could actually just click off of that layer, and now I just have my shape. I want this layer now to be active. And I'm going to hit transform and transform it, and I want it just a little bit fatter. Yeah, good. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to click up here, go back to the layers. With this layer I want to copy it or duplicate it, so I'm going to hit it, and I bring up this menu. I want to duplicate it, and now I have two. So now with this one active, what I'm going to do is go to transform in my menu, in my tools. I'm going to go to transform, and I'm going to flip it to the other side, so there could be a copy on the other side, and these buttons here will flip your drawing. Now I want to transform it, or I want to move it over, so I can just move it just a little bit, and there is good for me. That's what I'd like. Next, I'm going to go to layers again and put on a new layer. If in doubt, always put on a new layer. I'm going to now put a ribbon around, and I'm going to go to my yellow, and it's kind of an orangish yellow, and I'm going to come over here and find a kind of gold color, which here's your color. Now I'm still on my pen, my technical pen, and I don't like to draw a line that's odd for my hand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to draw just a little bit of a line that is, I guess, a little bent. And on the bottom, I'm going to follow that same curvature here. This will tie these two together. And I want to enclose these marks, so I go to the edge of here and follow along the picture and follow along this picture. Now that they're closed, I can fill those. I'm going to go up to my tools, and I'm going to go to fill. I want my solid fill. I just want a single layer, so I click the single layer and I fill that area. I'm going to erase just a little bit of that corner that's sticking out and looks funny. Just to get rid of that. Now it looks pretty good. Now come back to my drawing, and I have just my basic shapes. Next thing we want to do is to make this a little bit more three-dimensional. I'm going to go back to my purple and we'll start on the purple. And I want to go ahead and lock that. And when you lock it, you can only paint on what is already there. So I am going to go to my little toolbar, and there's a little dropper, and that's my color picker. And you get this little looking thing, and right in the very center is where it picks the color. So I want the purple. Then I want to go to that purple, and I want to make it darker because I want it to be a shadow. So I will go somewhere about right there. Here's your two color comparisons. This is what it was before, and this is what it is after. It's darker. And I'm going to change my brush. So I can just click on that brush, and I want to go to airflow brush. I'm going to just draw across about halfway and all the way over to the edge and make a shadow. And you can see it's not going off of the top here. It's just making a little shadow on that side. I'm going to see how big my brush is too. My brush is pretty small, and you can get it to be about 100. It'll work pretty good. So I'm going to make it about 100, and then it'll be a little faster. So we're just going to make half of it darker. Every time you go across it, it'll make it a little bit darker. Do that on the bottom. It's subtle, but it should be, a shadow should be a little subtle. Now I'm going to go just a little bit darker, and I'm going to change my brush a little bit so that it is going to be just a little bit smaller, about 50, and I'm going to come along the edges, and I'm going to kind of make a darker pattern on the edges. We're going to go to the light side and make a little bit of an edge on there also, because it is three-dimensional. Those edges will be a little bit darker also. Now we kind of got a little bit of a shadow going on there. We want to bring a highlight into that. So come up here in your color and choose a little bit of a lighter color. And we are going to make our brush is small right now, but you can check it. About 50 is good. And I'm going to come just right down the center and make a few brush strokes. To highlight the very center. Do that on the bottom. Highlight the view center. Right now it's more highlighted. I'm going to do the same thing with my greens. I'm going to go, and actually what I want to do is I'm going to go up to the top green, and I want to put these both together on the same plane so I don't have to just do one at a time. I'm going to click on the top one, and I want it to merge down one. Now they're both on the same. I'm going to go to my color picker. The color I want to pick, you can go there too. I want to pick the green. Then I'm going to go to my color blob, and I'm going to get it darker. Now I want to go on the inside of the circle, will be darker. We can bring our brush size up just a little bit, and I am going to, you can see some of the shadow going over the edge because I didn't lock my layer. So that's a good reminder. I'm going to lock my layer before I do this, so only the shadow will go onto the layer. Then I'm going to go around about halfway up the figure, and you get a subtle shadow. And I'm going to go on the inside of this one. Get your shadow. The shadow works real good here. And now I have my shadow that I like. Let's do a little bit more down here, maybe. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to add a highlight. I'm going to bring my color way up here. And I'm going to make my brush smaller. And I will put little tiny strokes to highlight the very center of that. Now we're going to do the same thing with the yellow. Click on my yellow layer and lock it. I'm going to take my color picker and go to the yellow. Then I'm going to make it darker by coming down here, and I'm going to go down like this. And on this one, the darkness should probably be something like this. Make it a little bit darker in the middle, on the edges, like a half moon shape. Also, I would like to make the band dark underneath as it curls underneath. And a little on the top. Just a little on the top, and then we have our little highlights. Let's go ahead and make it lighter to add a highlight, and the highlight should be pretty much in the middle of that band. Now I'd like to add a little bit of a shadowing around the whole entire thing. So this time I'm going to choose a new layer, and it's going to be on top, and I'm going to let's take a little bit of, I guess, a bluish gray here with the same brush, but I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. 100 would be good. And let's see how this shadow would look. We're going to go on the outside and just put a little bit of a shadow on the outside. Go underneath here. To this side. This will be in shadow right through here. A little bit. Let's make our brush a lot smaller now. And let's put some shadow right along the edges, but not quite as big.
This was fun. Thanks for drawing with me today. Look for other videos where I'll show you other techniques in Autodesk Sketchbook.